Congratulations for holding 2 Michelin stars.
Thank you very much.
A huge achievement, right?
It's always achievement, it's one of them things where we want to be cooking at the best in the world, and Michelin obviously is a standard bearer of gastronomy, and we strive to cook the best. We're not trying to cook starred food, we're trying to cook the best food. And I've always looked at it as very realistic. So if Michelin has a criteria of 1, 2 and 3, and we have a thing called time, and I think ultimately if you're striving, you're going to hit certain levels of that 1, 2, 3 with just natural progression. But you've got to be progressive, you've got to keep pushing forward. So I'm not saying we're ultimately going to get 3, I'm saying if you're trying to be better than you are today or yesterday, it surely means you're striving to be better tomorrow, and you're going to go up the evolutionary ladder of gastronomy. I think in anything in life, if you're very creative and forward thinking, you want to be better. You don't ever want to sit and be stagnant and just wait to die. You want to keep pushing forward, and that's the obligation I've got to my customers and to my team. Me and my wife Amanda, we push forward. We like to attack, keep pushing forward, and hopefully giving the diners at the restaurant an amazing, incredible journey of taste, texture and temperature that they feel they can't get anywhere else.
And what do you think that you can do in Nottingham that you couldn't do in London maybe, or another big city?
You can do whatever you want, wherever you want. It's not about where you are, it's about what you do. I'm under a flyover motorway near a cigarette factory in a cul-de-sac, and if we can do something exciting there, so what? It's exciting that you can travel to places like this in the UK, and Michelin has recognised that through the guide from 100 years ago, that they're going to find little spaces and spots all over the country where you can dine. It's not about being in the capital, because I think sometimes that's a little bit easy. If you want to know what hard is, you open a restaurant in Nottingham in a suburb with no passing trade, and you stamp your authority and you try to cook the best you can, and you have to force guests coming to eat with you. That's hard.
But where do you still get the motivation to improve and experiment?
I think the motivation is to be better, is to absolutely give you an incredible tasting menu experience, and not settle on your laurels. 2 stars is great, and I'm not ever going to deny that, but it's not the end of the world. 2 stars is good. It's good for our customers, good for the team. But I don't wake up in the morning thinking I'm going to have a wank over 2 stars. I'm excited that we're waking up with some of the best produce in Britain, and I'm being able to work with that, with customers that appreciate it. There's a big thing about, do the customers appreciate it? Yes, they do, because they pay for it. If someone goes to me, how does your customer feel? Well, I ask them. They like it, and then they rebooked. That means they're okay. If I had an empty restaurant, the customers don't like it. It's black and white.
And what's your relationship with the other Michelin star restaurateurs?
We're very fortunate. We've grown up with a lot of the chefs. I don't class them as Michelin star chefs either. I class them as chefs. We're chef friends. There's an industry that we're very open. We share knowledge. We share suppliers, share staff. And surely that's what's making Britain great in terms of gastronomy. We're sharing the ethos of pushing forward the whole dining scene by talking to each other. 20 years ago, you couldn't talk to another chef who worked in another restaurant. Now, we openly have discussions about the future of the industry, and also about what we're trying to achieve. We're trying to push British food to a level that it's related to and respected all over the world.
Yeah, it's, this thing about the scene changing and the industry changing makes me wonder, in terms of like your brigade, how is it different now from 10 years ago?
I think the brigades nowadays are a lot more professional. They're wanting a long career in the industry. Whereas before, when I was training 30 years ago, it was a dropout industry. And it had been for years, where if you didn't have much academia or knowledge of, a bit more kind of skills in academics, this was like bricklaying, because you had 2 hands, you had a work ethic, and you could produce an end result. Chefs are now a lot more intelligent, they're understanding a lot more about ingredients, the palate, what's going on, and we're ultimately sharing that. And the way to share that is by traveling, learning, teaching yourself, plus still learning. You have to keep trying to perfect your craft.
I remember when I was at the Cube a few years ago, and you were cooking a nice tasty menu. You were talking, one of your team was, even you, was talking a lot about foraging. There was someone in the restaurant in charge of foraging.
No, the location of our restaurant dictates that one course allows it to be foraged. Foraging is a trend that was a few years ago, but it was something we had because of our location, lots of wild herbs. But you can't eat every course something foraged. I shoot ducks, game, and that duck's on the menu. But what does it go with? So seasonality dictated by nature. Oh, blackberries are in season, hedgerow ingredients. So it lends itself to what the duck was eating, lends itself to say, I can plate that dish with that garnish. So that takes a level of intelligence and understanding of nature to say these two ingredients go together. I don't think good food will ever be trendy. I think it's a way of life. Good food is something that will elevate trends, and it will be something that you strive for to eat really well. Doesn't matter if it's a ragu or if it's something like roasted foie gras. If you get provenance from the ingredients and you treat it with respect, you should end up with something that's absolutely delicious.